MS2, this is the LPD on air to ground 1. How do you read? Over.
LPD on 2, sir, how many?
Roger, we copy that. Hold air to ground. He's not activating.
America accepted the challenge of future generations and returned to spaceflight in 1988 as the Space Shuttle Discovery thundered off its pad at Kennedy Space Center. That challenge to push back the frontiers of science and knowledge was also accepted by the Space and Rocket Center.
Booster ignition, liftoff.
Huntsville's newest landmark is the only complete, full-scale space shuttle exhibit on Earth. Marshall Space Flight Center brought the pieces together. The external tank arrived by barge from New Orleans. This was the first fuel tank built by Martin Marietta. In May, the massive tank was lifted into place, and then Rockwell's shuttle orbiter Maka, Pathfinder, was hoisted in place, followed in September by 2 solid rocket boosters manufactured by Morton Thiokol.
The Space and Rocket Center set records for attendance and income in 1988. More than 444,000 people visited during the year. Skylab commanders Alan Bean, Charles Conrad, Gerald Carr, and crew members from the 3 Skylab missions reunited in Huntsville for a 15th anniversary conference that reviewed the accomplishments of their missions. A special reunion with leading Skylab contractors and NASA officials officially opened the Space and Rocket Center's newest Skylab exhibit. Huntsville also celebrated its role as the birthplace of America's space program. The 30th anniversary of Explorer 1, America's first satellite, reunited members of the U.S. Army Ballistic Missile Command, which launched Explorer 1 atop a Redstone rocket in 1958, at the same time launching Huntsville as Rocket City, USA. The accomplishments of late rocket scientist Dr. Wernher von Braun and his team were honored during the first annual Von Braun Forum. The Space and Rocket Center also erected a spectacular decoration during the Christmas holiday season when the towering Saturn I rocket was strung with miles of festive lights.
U.S. Space Camp continues its pattern of dynamic expansion, growing from 12,000 a year earlier to 19,800. Some experienced a space station lifestyle inside the new space habitat. The habitat's unique architecture incorporates space station design concepts, so trainees can learn what it will be like to live and work in space. Sleep stations included a computer work area, storage cabinets, and beds. Construction of the habitat was made possible through the support of a $1 million team of 10 corporations. Their continuing commitment to the young people of America is reflected throughout the habitat. Special programs each week throughout the summer emphasize the contributions made by these Space Camp principal donors. Rockwell International, Coca-Cola, Boeing, Martin Marietta, Wiley Laboratories, Teledyne Brown Engineering, Morton Thiokol, Lockheed Missiles and Space Company, BDM International, and Grumman.
Joining the Habitat $1 million team is Apple Computers Incorporated, which donated to Space Camp the computer hardware, software, and expertise needed to computerize every sleep station in the space habitat. Monetary and equipment support also continued from our many other corporate partners and provided the necessary ingredients for a successful and eventful year. Eastern Airlines' role as the official airline of Space Camp grew in 1988, with Eastern transporting more than 8,000 trainees. And the Huntsville Marriott continued to provide valuable support to Space Camp programs, while remaining a focal point for the high-tech community. It's always exciting when an astronaut comes to visit Space Camp. It was a thrill for Space Camp trainees who got to meet Alan Shepard, the first American in space, Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo astronaut Wally Schirra, Skylab astronaut Jack Lausma, Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt, and Space Shuttle veteran Lauren Acton. Members of the Discovery crew provided an unexpected treat. While visiting Huntsville to say thanks to the Marshall Space Flight Center, crew members George Pinky Nelson and David Hilmers toured the Space Camp Training Center. They talked with trainees about pursuing their dreams of space exploration.
Thanks a lot. It's a real pleasure to come here tonight. This is my first visit to Space Camp, and maybe if I'd been here and done some of the things that all of you get an opportunity to do, I'd been a lot more prepared for my first mission.
I wish I could do it. I'd make you guys an offer. I'll trade you all the experiences I've had and all the fun I've had going into space and working on it. Even up, if I could take your places right now to take advantage of what's going on in the future. I don't need any guarantees. Just let me trade places with you. You can have what I've done, and I'll take a chance where you are.
The Teacher Space Orientation, co-sponsored by Space Academy and the University of Alabama in Huntsville, became a nationwide program in 1988. More than 600 educators from across the U.S. spent 5 days learning space science and experiencing astronaut training activities. At the invitation of the Space and Rocket Center, George Bush toured the U.S. Space Camp Training Center. He took the ground-mounted MMU for a test drive. Listen to a Space Camp mission in progress. Watch Space Camp trainees demonstrate astronaut training simulators. And received a shuttle mock-up from a counselor traveling out of the shuttle cargo bay. He then took time out of his schedule to address participants.
And I am absolutely convinced that what we're seeing here today, including the education of young Americans looking to the future, in terms of science, technology, the emphasis here on space is absolutely vital to our country.
Other officials who visited Space Camp included U.S. Senators Edward Kennedy of Massachusetts, Albert Gore of Tennessee, and evangelist Pat Robertson.
As Space Camp grew, it became apparent that there are limits on how many trainees can be accommodated at the Huntsville facility. To meet growing public demand, a new organization, the U.S. Space Camp Foundation, was created to operate and license Space Camp outside Alabama. U.S. Space Camp opened in April near the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Operated jointly by the Space Camp Foundation and by America's original astronauts through their Mercury 7 Foundation, this Space Camp attracted more than 3,600 youngsters. The new Space Camp location gives future corporate donors and supporters new opportunities for recognition in the highly visible Florida Space Coast market. After Space Camp's successful introduction in Florida, the foundations announced plans for the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame. Featuring the personal mementos and artifacts from America's astronauts, the Hall of Fame will adjoin a new Space Camp Training Center. Development is also underway for the first international Space Camp, to be operated by Nippon Steel, the world's largest steel manufacturing company. Space Camp in Japan will be the centerpiece for a major space education park.
Space Academy trainees watch Discovery's launch and landing on special satellite hookups, and reporters and camera crews representing NBC and ABC watch the trainees and their reactions. These trainees added perspective for a major ABC documentary entitled Beyond the Shuttle. Space Academy's Discovery activities were featured on NBC's World News Tonight, in the New York Times, and by ABC and CBS, which shared their footage with more than 500 affiliate stations. Also, Space Camp programs are featured on Good Morning America, on the children's program Flip, and in literally hundreds of local newspaper articles around the world. And Hollywood briefly returned to the Space and Rocket Center when Martin Sheen and the crew shooting his new movie, Personal Choice, spent 2 days shooting scenes in and around the Space Center. The movie is scheduled for release next spring. Space Camp also benefits from millions of dollars of free advertising and publicity generated by contests and promotions with national and international companies, including Neiman Marcus, Double Dare, Finders Keepers, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, Minolta Cameras, Kmart, and Coca-Cola.
Plans are being drawn for a full-scale space station, more than 400 feet in length, that will complete the Space Shuttle Park. A proposed hands-on space station module exhibit inside the Space and Rocket Center will further let visitors imagine themselves as space station dwellers. Plans are also being developed to add a cockpit to Rockwell's Pathfinder mock-up, and then a lift or platform from which visitors might get an up-close look of what a real orbiter is like. Space Camp will continue to expand and offer new and exciting programs in the coming year. The new Aviation Challenge program will take its cues from real jet pilot school training to give high school-aged young men and women a broad introduction to aviation sciences needed to become future space shuttle pilots and commanders. This winter and spring will see the completion of Space Habitat 2, a renovation and rehabilitation of existing Space Camp facilities.
There's a plaque in the lobby of the museum which dedicates the Space and Rocket Center to the children of America. This dedication hopes that they will use the technology developed for the space program for the benefit of all mankind. While that dedication is still valid, our current mission goes even farther. We're training the scientists, the engineers, the educators, and the decision makers of the 21st century. At no time in our 2 decades of history have we done more toward this goal than in the past 12 months. We're even more excited about the future. During next year, some 500,000 people will visit to learn from our interpretations of the latest in technology from the Army and NASA, with exhibits ranging from the SDI to Marshall's role in the space station. Next spring, we will pass another milestone that few of us would have ever imagined just 6 short years ago. In April, we will train the 50,000th young person to experience a week of space camp. Thanks to your support, this is an exciting time to be in the space business. As we say every year, the best is yet to come.